PDF version loaded or the PowerPoint version?
The PDF version is there. Did you want it on slideshow?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's done in the landscapes and, you know, so this, they can do it, you know. That's the whole foundation, so otherwise we just go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the PowerPoint.
And spread it there.
If you want the PowerPoint, it's right there. So it's just, I can only have one open at a time, so I'll get your PowerPoint. Oh, sorry.
So, that was, so the case gives me hints and tells me to focus on marketing strategies. And that's how the case was written, so it's, you know, it's kind of given
When you're ready.
Alright. One person can make a difference, and everyone should try. Addressing the humanitarian crisis in Venezuela starts by addressing the needs of the individuals. Here at Launchpad, we emphasize a human-focused approach to business to help established companies like MaxiaNet impact their communities and beyond. So, our Launchpad team, consisting of myself, Daniel, Isaac,
Elena, and Katrina.
We like to create opportunities in developing countries through sustainable social ventures. And some of the clients we've worked with in the past include Tom Shoes, which pioneered the buy one, give one model. So if you bought a pair of shoes, they would give a pair of shoes to somebody in need in a developing country, as well as working with the Grameen Bank, which is a micro-financing institution started by Muhammad Yunus, which gives no interest loans to farmers in Bangladesh. So these are clients that we've worked with to help establish those social ventures.
Alright, so today we're going to go through the current environment within Venezuela as well as your company to see what the best practices are. From there, we'll make a recommendation and suggest why a social venture is the best practice for what your company can do, combining people with profit. We'll also discuss why entering Venezuela as well as Colombia is an excellent idea and go through all of our distribution channels, finally ending with why all this matters. So, to start, we identified a key problem. So despite Venezuela's political and economic difficulties, what sustainable initiatives can your company do to not only create value, but also contribute to solving the current humanitarian crisis that's present within this region? And so we, of course, want to stay within MaxiaNet's goals of maximizing consumer reach as well as accessibility. From here, I want to discuss the current environment in Venezuela. So I'll start off with the legal environment. There are currently many difficulties with regards to doing business over there, as well as a U.S. embargo on Venezuela. So for a U.S. company to enter there, it presents some different difficulties. There's also the environmental factor that we identified of sanitation issues, where it's hard to have access to clean water, food, as well as much needed medicine. From here, I demonstrated the political and economic values through a one-shot simultaneous framework from game theory economics. The two strategic players are the Venezuelan government as well as MaxiaNet, your company. The third player are the citizens, as they are passively involved and have no actual decision-making power. And so the two decisions for the Venezuelan government are to accept foreign aid or to deny it, and for MaxiaNet to get involved within the Venezuelan market and to not get involved. Using these basic payoff values, which basically demonstrate the value and not true payoffs, to demonstrate that the value over here to do nothing and not accept foreign aid is the low-level equilibrium. However, this adversely affects the citizens overall. And so we want to incentivize your company to enter the Venezuelan market, as this creates the best payoffs for the overall environment. Because you control the decision whether to enter the Venezuelan market or not, we recommend that you do that through a social venture strategy. So, we recommend that MaxiaNet will implement a social venture strategy to scale distribution and provide affordable diapers within Venezuela. And Daniel will go more in depth with our strategy of social ventures.
Sweet, thanks, Katrina. So our strategy, we're going to be starting off with a social venture model to build sustainable cash flow for our business. Next, we're going to be looking at a subsidized product, so we're going to be creating affordable diapers for those in need. And lastly, we'll look at distribution. So we want to create a widespread reach that will impact many people. So our social venture, the definition of a social venture is providing social good while also prioritizing business success. And a great way to think about this is people and profit. So something that's great about a social venture is you're still profiting, you're still building scale, and you're reaching a wide number of people but you're also keeping a people-focused approach and making sure that we're impacting our communities that we're in. So some advantages to a social venture include it's revenue generating. So our beneficiaries are buying our products. So our beneficiary is our customer, and they're giving us money because they see value in our product, and we're giving them value to them by creating this subsidized diaper. Next is scalability. So because we're generating profits from our venture, we're able to reinvest that back to increase our impact and reach. This can help us explore new distribution channels and increase our inventory of diapers to help reach more people. And lastly, sustainability. So because we're generating our own cash flow, we're reducing reliance on outside funding, which is a really big part of nonprofit work. So with nonprofits, the amount of donations that you receive is about the amount of donations you receive is proportional to the amount of impact you can get. So you have to consistently fundraise, you have to consistently raise more money, and sometimes the funds of those sources aren't consistent. So by creating a sustainable model, we're reducing that reliance on outside funding and also reducing the risk of legal fees, because a lot of the case presented that there was an issue with raising profit on donated items. So by creating our own model, we don't need to rely on that charitable giving because we're creating our own. So once we enter the Venezuelan market, why would people adopt our product? So some key things of our product adoption is awareness. So a big part of the Latin American market is they mentioned that when switching diaper brands, they took into account word of mouth from family and friends. So we want to make sure that we're using these channels to spread awareness of our product because people believe in products that other people recommend to them. Next is affordability. So we're going to be creating a subsidized price from purchases made by more affluent customers. So more affluent customers will purchase our diaper in different markets to help subsidize the cost of diapers in Venezuela. So we're taking some of our profits to put in a subsidized price for the Venezuelan market to help build that up too. Next is our advantage. So we're using smaller unit sizes to lower that purchase barrier. So people in poverty and third world countries don't have a consistent form of income, and large purchases can significantly impact their financial well-being. So by having smaller purchases, or smaller unit sizes, they have to consistently purchase more products, but they're also able to purchase those products in general. So we're making sure that they have the opportunity to use our diapers. And last is access. So we want to leverage health institutions and NGOs to distribute our products through existing channels. So the case talked a lot about the UN Human Response Plan for Venezuela, and it presented that there's over 60 current NGOs in Venezuela. So we want to make sure that we're leveraging these existing networks, and NGOs have trust with our local population. So we want to make sure that those established relationships, we can benefit from them by providing our diaper to these NGOs. And we're also benefiting an NGO because we're providing a product that is hygiene-based. So a lot of their humanitarian work focuses on hygiene, so our product benefits the NGOs as well. And so Elena's going to be talking about our subsidized product.
Thank you, Daniel. So our next strategy recommendation is to subsidize the diapers from Venezuela in order to make them more accessible and affordable for our customers. First, we want to start off with partnering with Winnie for the Venezuela market to create a special 5-count size of the Winnie Ultra Trim Gold diapers. So currently, the main size sold in the Venezuela market is size medium. This neglects a large population of babies that aren't size medium, so we want to increase the range by allowing a size small, medium, and large to help reach a wider customer and give Maxina a better opportunity to profit. The total cost for this pack will be 5,562 bolivars. In the Colombian market, we want to pretty much sell the product that has already been selling amazingly already. So it will be the 50-count Winnie Ultra Trim Gold packet with sizes from extra small to extra large. And the total cost is going to be 45,990 Colombian pesos. Since currently Winnie Ultra Trim Gold does sell in the Colombian market, this specific brand of diapers is the #1 most popular. So we are recommending a 20% retail price premium leading to a 20% profit margin. And although that sounds a little bit large, for the Venezuelan market, we want to make sure Maxina can get better returns quicker. Looking at the Colombian market, we want a larger profit margin so that we can help subsidize the products for the Venezuela market. The profit for Venezuela will be 1,112 bolivars per pack, which roughly translates to 111 US dollars, which sounds really large, but is not adjusted for hyperinflation in the country. In Colombia, the profit will be $9,198 for the 50 pack, which roughly translates to $2.68 in profit.
So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the shipping cost. Thanks, Elena. So what this slide is breaking down is the estimated cost of shipping diapers from Colombia to Venezuela to supply all the kids in Venezuela at different usage rates. So these usage rates were actually given to us in the case. It stated that as early as 2017, the amount of diapers used per kid is about 126 a year, which is already very low. So that's going to be our base. The threshold is compared to the other Latin American countries, which are saying that they use about 556 diapers a year. So we multiplied those numbers by the total amount of kids in Venezuela to get the different diapers needed per year. The shipping costs are going to be based on a partnership that I'm going to discuss a little bit later with Mundial International. And they actually, the logistics of their shipping is that they are able to use 40-foot high-cube containers that fit on average 250,000 diapers in those containers. And so what we did was we divided the total amount of diapers needed by how many can fit in those containers to get the amount of shipments we're going to need per year at these different usage rates, and multiply that by how much each shipment is going to cost to get the amount, the total amount of cost per year. So that's going to be over here. And Lynn's going to be talking about our promotion.
So the number one reason why Latin American consumers switch diaper brands is because of promotion. So we're going to be starting the Colombia Cares promotion, which aims to connect the Colombian market with the Venezuelan market. So essentially what this is going to be is that 30% of the profit from the Colombia Cares promotion will be going towards subsidizing the products for the Venezuelan market. This way, people in Colombia can show their support to their friends and family by addressing a dire humanitarian need. And since the Winnie brand is very popular in Colombia, we are expecting high profits, and that's why we have an estimated discount of about 40% per 5-pack diapers in Venezuela, so that they're much more affordable to the daily customer. And now Isaac is going to be talking a little bit more about the logistics.
Awesome, thanks, Elena. So, according to Exhibit 9 in the case, two of the biggest factors why Latin American consumers switch diaper brands is because of promotion and feedback from family and friends. We plan on utilizing that to its fullest extent to really connect the ties between these neighboring countries. There's been a recent influx of about 600,000 migrants from Venezuela to Colombia, a lot of those being family and friends going over. And the Ease of Doing Business Index actually raised Colombia as number 65, which is going to allow us to enter in that market. Next, I'm going to be talking about our distribution model. Our distribution model is going to be 4 steps, and it's going to help us reach more customers through strategic channels. First step is going to be partnering with the #1 diaper brand in Colombia, Winnie. Winnie is already a licensed manufacturer, and with them being the having that #1 spot in Colombia, it's going to make it a lot easier to get our foot in the door and get the ball rolling. Next, we're going to be utilizing MaxiNet to its fullest extent. MaxiNet already has a very strong supply chain, and we're going to be able to use their supply chain and the logistics to figure out how we're going to be able to move these diapers to Colombia from Venezuela. With our suggestion, which is step 3, we suggest partnering with Mundial International, a company that already has established packaging facilities inside of Colombia, to make that shipping process a lot easier. This is also going to give context. This also gives context to the amount of cost that we talked about a little bit earlier. So they actually have a track record of working with top brands and giving affordable prices. Next is going to be the wholesale and resale distribution of these diapers. So in Colombia, currently, Winnie is selling in supermarkets and grocery stores. We don't plan on changing that at all. The only thing we're planning on doing is adding our promotional label on top of the packaging. Where it's going to change a little bit is going to be Venezuela. So we plan on selling our diapers inside of hospitals. Reason being is that, it's for a number of different reasons, but one of the reasons being that Winnie actually already has over 100 different connections with hospitals inside of Colombia, due to a program that they started back in 2014, which is a Winnie Premature program, which was able to, it supplies a lot of diapers. It donates diapers to premature babies who are weighing less than 2,500 grams. And so if we can replicate that in Venezuela, we feel like that would be a really great success. But diving more into why we chose hospitals, another reason why is because we want to make it more market-oriented. Right now, Venezuela is going through a huge crisis, and the black market is running rampant. So what people are doing is buying diapers in bulk and selling them at extremely high prices. So when we can sell them in hospitals, we're able to control the people who are actually buying the diapers, and we're able to decrease the amount of black market activity. Next is going to be the humanitarian aid. When you're walking into a hospital, you get that sense of security, that sense of sanitation, that sense of safety. So we want to make sure people are feeling more comfortable going out and buying these things. And also, too, we want to increase awareness. So when they're walking around the hospital, we plan on doing more educational aspects of sanitation, educational aspects of making sure that they're able to properly dispose of these diapers as well. So next, Elena's going to be talking about our implementation timeline.
So the timeline's going to be pretty much starting with Maxinet creating a social venture and establishing their relationships with their partners Winnie and Mondial. Next, we're going to be launching the Columbia Cares promotion and distributing these packages to supermarkets. And with that profit from the Columbia Cares, we're going to start subsidizing the Venezuela product and distribute these products in hospitals. A few years later, we want to expand distribution into supermarkets to make it even more accessible. We're assuming from product launch a 7-year for full distribution, and then from product launch 13 years to reach full sales volume potential.
All right, so today we've covered the following topics as to what is going on within the Venezuelan market, why this matters, and how we can most effectively enter using our social venture strategy. So overall, as a company, Maxinet can make a difference within Venezuela, not only with regards to profit, but also with regards to the humanitarian efforts. Thank you so much, and we look forward to any questions you may have.
Good job.
Thank you.
Great, and we'll take 8 minutes now for the judges to have some questions for you.
I think you guys did a good job in terms of focusing on the issues. I think, and you did a good job in terms of tying in the distribution and the logistics in terms of where to use and what to use. Now, the reason you used Winnie was because they're next door in Colombia, or why did you pick Winnie?
So we picked them for a number of different reasons. One of them being that we chose Colombia because it's easier doing business in Colombia versus the different countries that were given to us in the exhibits in the case.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about Brazil, Ecuador, a couple other countries. We chose Colombia because it had the highest ease of doing business rating, and we chose Winnie specifically because it was the highest rated diaper brand in Colombia.
Okay.
And another reason why we chose Winnie, and specifically Colombia, was that there's over 600,000 migrants in Colombia, and a big part of the case was that word of mouth from family and friends. So a lot of people who are now in Colombia still have family and friends in Venezuela. So using that word of mouth can kind of establish that brand recognition from Colombia to Venezuela. So it's like a big reason why we partnered with Winnie as well.
Good. That's good reasoning. Okay. How did you come up with your pricing?
So what we did was took the figures from the sheet that were given with the different pricing models for each country. So there was one pack for Venezuela. So pretty much just divided that by to figure out the cost per unit, and then multiply that by how many units that we're going to sell, and then from that, that was pretty much it for the Venezuela
What
one.
exchange rate did you use?
So we kept everything in the home currencies just to not make it too confusing. When we were trying to exchange it to dollars, we
No,
weren't
not
able.
dollars, but to bolivares.
We kept it in bolivares.
In the case, it gave it to us in bolivars, so I kept it in that currency. I only converted it at the very end with the profit for the US dollars.
Okay. What exchange rate did you use for the exchange rate for the bolivares to the dollar?
It was one bolivar to to $0.9. Or no, sorry, it's $1 to 0.9 bolivares.
Okay, that's wrong. Okay, if you took off the case, then you should have looked it up. You know, the current exchange rate. You know, the current exchange rate is like 18 to 20,000 bolivares to $1. So.
I think I felt like we used the VEF. Is that wrong? Okay.
You can't use it. You know, the official, the government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nobody deals in the government official one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. But you know, you guys just aren't that familiar with the country, so.
The numbers did seem a little bit weird when I was crunching them in.
Now, how did you come up with? I mean, did you get the link between why we're using NGOs and foundations, or why that was thrown into the case as opposed to just buying the diapers and selling them in Venezuela?
It was using
In terms of
NGOs, or like why they were
in terms
in
of
the
the
case?
link, in terms of you're talking about subsidies, and you're
Yeah.
talking about, you know, companies normally don't subsidize their product. I mean, you know, they're in to make profits.
Yeah.
So, did you guys get that link? I mean, did you? in
Yeah.
terms of,
I think that's why we kind of mentioned the NGOs to kind of leverage those existing connections, because there was a big focus in the case on donations and funding.
right,
And a big problem with Venezuela is that the government doesn't let any foreign aid in.
right,
So we're kind of using the national NGOs rather than more like the international NGOs, because the national NGOs have that established presence in the country. And it's a way to kind of get around that there's no foreign aid allowed into the country.
right.
So we felt that by partnering with existing channels that were established, we didn't have to worry about the legal aspect and then also the government aspect as well.
Okay, all right. That's true, but, you know, the whole idea of using, you know, like NGOs and stuff is that they get donations, they get free money, free goods.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to look at the link between how do you use that and buy Winnie products in Colombia. So I think, you know, that link you've got to focus on, okay? Because, you know, the government won't allow free aid. So you got to put it in as if you're selling it to a distributor, to the hospitals or whatever. Okay. But anyway, you know.
Hey, tell me a little more about your strategy about hospitals and supermarkets. You talked about hospitals, but on the timeline, it actually had supermarkets in 2020.
So the supermarkets within 2020 are within the Colombian market. So we see two distinct markets that we're going to be operating in here. So Colombia, as it's established, it's not necessarily subject to the same level of like hyperinflation that's going on within Venezuela right now. So this is a more standard model, if you will. With regards to Venezuela, we wanted to specifically go into health institutions because of the education they could offer and also the accessibility. So by going into a health institution, we're mitigating the products that are going to be going to the black market potentially, as well as advertising that sanitation is necessary. So, for example, you know those posters that come out around this time of year that say cover your cough, or all around schools, hospitals, and whatnot? It's the same concept of trying to shift the Venezuelan consumer from these reusable diapers to now our products Winnie. Reusable diapers are a horrible idea because they contribute to those issues of too much waste and like excess germs because there is a lack of clean water and a lack of detergent. With disposable diapers, that mitigates that issue.
Makes sense.
How did you come up with the margins and the subsidies and?
For the margin, the 20% margin, I actually found an article from Procter & Gamble about how their products were priced in a difficult market, and it said that they required a 20% margin. So I went off of that just because it's a very similar product. It was the diapers, and it's definitely a ballpark, and I know it's definitely a high profit margin, but we just wanted to make sure that MaxiNet had return as soon as possible because it is a very struggling market.
How much time do we have?
A minute and 30 seconds.
What I did like is, you know, it's in countries where they have high inflation, I like your idea of using a small pack, 5-pack, because most people in most countries in Latin America, they go to the store more often because they literally earn money every day and get paid every day. So they go to the local store, they don't go to the supermarket every day. And so they buy small packages that are sold in the corner stores. So that was a very good idea. You know, obviously if you do a 5-pack, you got to do it in a couple of sizes, you know, smalls, mediums, or whatever. So that was very good.
This is our calculation for that to determine whether.
Yeah. In the case, you know, it says packs are 36 and 52. I mean, those are in the United States and Costco type things and you know, supermarket type things. They're not in that. You know, you can't put huge packages like that in a small store.
Yeah.
In Latin America, it's still 70% of the market. Still, the goods are still sold in small stores, not in supermarkets. So that's where the volume is. And that's why distribution is so important in Latin America. That's also why maybe hospitals are good, but not the best to get it down to the people. But anyway, it's a good idea. You know, you got to cover all your bases, but you should focus on the smaller ones.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the feedback.
Well, thank you. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, appreciate it.
Good job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
24
Thank you.
Who's Mondial?
Oh, and they do a lot of distribution and packaging all throughout Latin America. I just found it with, they specifically focus on diapers too, so that's why I was like, oh, we can use them.
But they're not a manufacturer, they're
No, they just distribute. They do sales and
I'll try
marketing.
and walk them out.
Okay.
So, we'll just
All
try
right.
to have time a little bit.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Sorry to cut you off.
No
I think
worries.
you can catch up with them after.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. See you. Cool.